Hello, welcome to Noms again, and this time I'm doing something for the vegans out there. Even if you're vegan, you deserve some junk food, and considering lockdown's happening right now, it's probably kind of hard to get some of your favourite junk foody things. So today, what I'm going to do is make some tofu buffalo wings. I mean, they're not wings, they're blocks of tofu. Even if you're a meat eater, these are pretty darn good. Like, I am really fond of buffalo wings in general, and just using 6 ingredients, which I've already taken out over here, you can get like crispy on the outside, gooey on the inside, covered in like delicious buffalo sauce. They got the spice, they got the richness. So I'm using vegan butter, which is kind of important. I'm also using Frank's Red Hot as the sauce that is going to be making the buffalo sauce. If you can't get your hands on Frank's Red Hot, you can use Tabasco. If you can't get your hands on Tabasco, or you want to make some hot sauce of this kind of ilk yourself, next week there's going to be a video about making a fermented hot sauce. I've already bought, ooh, that's really crinkly, isn't it? I'm going to be making some hot sauce out of these peppers that I've also bought. That will be in another video that will go up next week because it's going to be a fermented hot sauce, so it takes a week for these after they've blended to be ready to be a sauce itself. For the buffalo wings, the ingredients that you need, just these: butter, extra firm tofu, salt, the hot sauce, got some vegetable oil of some variety for frying, some corn flour to make the outside of the tofu really crispy. Yes, if you're vegan and want some junk food, this is what you gotta do. At the core of it, buffalo wings are really simple. You just cook your protein and then toss it in the buffalo sauce itself. The first thing that you need to do, of course, is to preheat your oven. Anything that's using an oven, get that oven warm well ahead of time. So I've set mine to 200 degrees centigrade, nice and hot, because I want to get this tofu super crispy. While your oven's preheating, you need to prepare your tofu, the protein, because the sauce itself doesn't take too long. Open it up, drain it out, and then cut it into your appropriate chunk-sized shapes. So this entire 350 gram pack of tofu only made enough for about 1, maybe 1.5 servings after it had been baked in the oven. So I will say to you, if you are planning to feed quite a few people, you're going to need more tofu than you expect. But if you're just going to feed yourself, about 1 pack of tofu will be enough for a treat. Once you've cut your tofu into the size chunks that you're looking for, you then want to put them in a bowl, and I added a teaspoon of corn flour, about half a teaspoon of salt, and then a light splash of vegetable oil. Then get your hands in there, mix it all up until all of the tofu pieces have like a light covering of corn flour and salt and vegetable oil kind of evenly covered. You don't want any big chunks of corn flour sitting in there because they will be super gross. When you're mixing all of the pieces of tofu up, you'll notice that it breaks up a little bit. Don't worry about that. Those little bits will survive the cooking process. Take your pieces out and lay them on a baking sheet that has some grease-proof paper on top of it. It's just to make sure that they don't stick to the sheet. That's always a bit of a hassle. I just took all of those broken bits and put them in a corner of the baking sheet because waste not, want not, and they will be just as delicious when everything is done. Then pop those into the oven. We're going to bake these for about half an hour, and at the halfway point of baking, you want to flip all of these pieces, and you also want to, if you can, rotate your baking sheet 180 degrees, so the things that were at the front are now at the back, and the things that were at the back are now at the front. That will just mean that everything gets cooked a bit more evenly, and that's something that you should do regardless of what you're roasting. I actually learnt that from when I was roasting my Christmas meats. While you're waiting for your tofu to bake, let's prepare the buffalo sauce. That's just adding 2 parts hot sauce to 1 part butter by weight. So I'm using 100 grams of hot sauce and 50 grams of the vegan butter that I'm using. You can also use olive oil if you don't want to use vegan butter,
but if you're using olive oil, you will need some kind of emulsifying agent to help stop the sauce from splitting up. Put those two things on the heat, leave that on a low heat and mix it. I started off with a spoon. Actually, it's probably a better idea, and I swapped myself to use a whisk just to get that thoroughly combined. Once that's combined, you can just leave that small sauce pot on a heat, keeping the buffalo sauce warm until you're ready to serve. Going back to our tofu, when it's all crispy and good looking, take the tofu chunks and put them in a bowl. When you're ready to serve these bad boys, just pour some of the buffalo sauce onto the tofu pieces and then give them a hearty shake. Make sure they're all evenly covered. I actually go a bit saucy and add more sauce than is necessary because I like a sauced up chunk. And then usually I would plate these in front of you, but I just threw these on the plate. This isn't fancy food, this is fun food, and it is delicious. I ate these with some simple oven fries, which is a perfect kind of cheat meal without any of the meat guilt. So if you enjoyed this particular recipe, do mention below, or if you actually tried it, that would be great. Just let me know. If you like the video, give it a like. Also, definitely subscribe to the channel and see the fermented hot sauce video that's coming out next week. It should be really cool, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the sauce turns out. But for now, I will see you all next time.